Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to a special edition of Dom Time. Of course, our eyes turn to Sandy Hook Elementary. We're starting to see, even today, Monday, some of the funerals of the children who were slaughtered last Friday. We'll see more throughout the week. And just the grief, just the turmoil. Joining us to talk about this, though, there is another big part to this. People wanting to know why, people wanting answers, and people wanting at least solutions to prevent some of this. Joining us from Ceasefire, Pennsylvania, is Shira Goodman. Shira, let's talk about what Ceasefire Pennsylvania might say more than philosophically about this. Is Ceasefire Pennsylvania in the camp of talking about an assault weapons ban? And if so, this was not an assault weapon classically, we believe, that he used.
Well, thanks for having me, Dom. We are talking about a lot of things. What we've been focusing on is not a specific type of weapon ban, but just generally trying to focus people's attention on the idea of illegal guns. And although the shooter's mother here purchased them legally, once they got to his hands, they were no longer legal. And either he stole them, she illegally or improperly gave them to him. And we think that people should know that most guns, and often handguns especially, that are used in crimes are illegally obtained, either because they're lost by somebody and somebody who shouldn't have them gets them because they were stolen, or this kind of illegal transfer. And we think there's a lot of steps that governments can take to avoid that flow of illegal guns into our streets and into the hands of people who shouldn't have them.
Well, let's talk about some, because I don't see what it would be here. I see the nexus here of mental illness and that not being dealt with to stop this potentially, and the mother who knows how loose she was with locking, unlocking the weapons. But on the day-to-day basis, are you talking about only 2 guns a month? Are you talking about straw purchasers? What kinds of things are you zoning in on?
We're talking about straw purchasers, and certainly in Pennsylvania at the end of our session, after the tragic murder of Officer Fox, the legislature and governor did pass tougher sanctions on straw purchasers, which is a good tool for our police and prosecutors.
But add more penalties on them?
Yes, so that somebody who does it buys more than one gun that way can have mandatory minimums.
For viewers who don't know this by now, straw purchasers are those without felonies that buy them for someone else and then sell them to someone who might have a felony, or sell them willy-nilly to anybody without background checks, highest bidder over kitchen tables. I would personally, if there are guns involved in a murder, execute them. I mean, what would Ceasefire Pennsylvania propose? What's the highest penalty
for the straw purchasers?
Now, yes.
Right now, there's mandatory minimums 5 years if it's multiple purchasing. Okay. And that is much stronger than it used to be, because remember, to be a straw purchaser, you had to have a clean record. So what would happen is, a lot of times it's a girlfriend, somebody like that is being forced to go buy a gun, then they get arrested and they had a clean record, so maybe they could cut a plea deal for not a lot of jail time. What this new bill does is it really gives incentives for people not to become straw purchasers. You know, $500 or your boyfriend being angry at you, you're looking at serious jail time.
Here's where you and I might come together, because I think we might, Ceasefire Pennsylvania, as far as I know it, and I might differ a little bit around guns, but where we might come together, Philadelphia judges. We have a law in the books right now that says you get 5 years if that gun is used in the commission, as I understand it, for want of a better term, violent crime. It could be a robbery, could be an attack, could be anything. And yet these judges, along with DAs, it seems to me, plea bargain these down. They don't get 5 years.
Well, I mean, that is definitely a frustration, especially for people in the community. So one of the things that we've been doing that I think you would find interesting is when judges do sentencing, they actually go through a litany of factors. They talk about the defendant's past history, whether there's mental problems or drug abuse, and then they say, and community impact. But how do you bring in community impact? Well, we're actually doing that. We're bringing in volunteers from the communities that are affected, and oftentimes judges will let them testify, and they are trying to get the message across that there are no victimless gun crimes. Even if a gun isn't used, if you brought it into my neighborhood and it was illegal, you weren't allowed to bring it in, that's bad for me, that's bad for our neighborhood. So we're bringing people in and we're empowering them to give that message to judges, and we believe it's getting across. We are seeing some stronger sentences. We know that the defense attorneys are not happy to see us there, because we are giving judges tools to say, here's what the community impact is.
And also shining a light maybe on these judges to say, this is the law. I mean, it's bad enough to talk about this. Here's where the frustration is in the Second Amendment, people that call me. We already have all these laws in the books. We can't get Philadelphia judges or some other judges to enforce them. Why put new laws in when we're not being methodical about these laws?
Well, we certainly have to enforce the laws we have, and I think our police and prosecutors and judges do what they can. I'm sure there are times the police are frustrated and times prosecutors are, and judges too. But I mean, when you're talking about Philadelphia, you're certainly talking about a lot of cases. But there are other steps that we can take that would be, yes, additional laws, but that would make common sense regulations that I think that gun owners, law-abiding gun owners, hunters, sportsmen would say that makes sense, because I think most of those people agree that some people shouldn't have guns. They have forfeited their right to have guns.
And we'll talk about those next with Shira Goodman here on Dom Time. We'll also bring in an expert on the issue of school safety. What can be done to fortify schools, to make schools more resistant to this without turning them into a military base? That's straight ahead on Dom Time.